कल की रात की सब्जी भी नहीं खाओगे. So we were not making roti out of maida. We were not using palm oil when we were making our sabzi. So where did junk enter? Indians are eating 40 to 45 grams of protein. So there is definitely protein deficiency. Power of compounding is so powerful. Just increasing 1% every single day, you will be 37x better by the end of the year. In the premium space, Open Secret was the leading brand with 13% market share and Britannia was number 2.
Ahana, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
A startup that aims to redefine healthy snacking in India. My guest today is the founder of Open Secret, Ahana Gautam. Ahana, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely. So, Ahana, Unjunking India, the mission statement of Open Secret, is something I think that is so much needed today with the kind of junk food that's going around that people are consuming. But let's start at the beginning. Tell me how this entire journey started. What led you to this, saying that this is something I need to do?
I would have to go back to my childhood. I grew up in a very small, a tier 3 city of Rajasthan. Was raised by a single working mother. She was a professor. So she would be in college and I would be at home. Grew up in a locked house. It was not a safe city for girls. And was always studying and eating. And when I was eating, I mean, it was the maida biscuit, the bhujia, the ghevar. And no doubt, I was 3x my current size. I was a very, very overweight kid while growing up. And to be honest, I never associated, or we did not even have the awareness that what you eat plays such an integral role in your health and wellness journey. So fast forward, I became an engineer. I only had two options, when you are a kid growing up in a small city, either you become a doctor, you become an engineer. I loved maths. So I decided to come to IIT Bombay and then went on to Harvard Business School. Till then had no vision about unjunking and any of that. But I still remember when I was at HBS and in the classroom, my seatmate was Marcus, and I was just telling Marcus that, Marcus, I'm going to the gym. I'm still not losing weight. What's going on? And he said, hey, Ahana, do you see what you eat? So I had 2 croissants for the 2 classes at HBS. And I remember going to Whole Foods and going to Trader Joe's. So these are basically the Reliance of United States. You could visualize like that. And they only had better for you products. They had zero junk policy in their stores. So it made me realize that, there is this amazing access in Western countries where families can go and pick food which is tasty as well as healthy. Because here, as soon as I ask you tasty, you think junk, right?
Yes.
Junk necessarily has to be, of course, it's tasty, but that doesn't mean that healthy can't be tasty. So it made me realize that why this access is not there in India. And if you think about innovation in India, it's not that we are not known for innovation. We came up with UPI, we have moved from 2G to 5G, we are doing calls on Zoom, we have moved from singleplex to multiplex. But go and visit a house and check the snacks in their kitchen. It will be the same maida biscuits with palm oil, with trans fat. And it made me realize why basic access like food hasn't changed over decades. And also, meanwhile, my niece, she was detected with type 1 diabetes. Okay. And my sister-in-law she only had the same brands that my mother had access to. So that's how I became very passionate about food. And this was my own personal journey. But if you club it with the macro, which is India is a diabetes capital.
Yes.
Obesity is such a huge issue. Now we're also talking about protein deficiency, that we are not eating enough protein. And if you don't have health, how can you achieve anything else? So that's how the mission became very personal to me. And I decided to take that one-way flight from US to India, gave up my H1B, came to India, and realize that there's a lot of work that we all need to do together, and how can we build on this unjunking mission together.
So how did you sort of start on the journey of what are the kind of products, how do you create these products, how do you make tasty and healthy food? What was that journey like?
So the first step was, how did the junk enter the household? You know, if you think about our meals, we eat fresh khana, ghar ka
Yes,
khana.
yes.
When I was in the US, people used to cook over the weekend and they will freeze
Store
their
it,
food,
yeah,
for the
yeah.
entire week. India में आप कल की रात की सब्जी भी नहीं
नहीं
खाओगे.
खाना, yeah.
So we were not making roti out of maida. We were not using palm oil when we were making our sabzi. So where did junk enter? Junk entered in the form of packaged foods.
Yes.
So that's how we decided that, you know, this is the sector, and it's a huge sector. It's 100,000 crore plus category. So we said, okay, this is where and how the junk has entered into Indian houses. How can we start unjunking that? And we were very clear that we wanted to build an assortment. You know, if you think about brands in India, they were very category brands. कि मैं chips का brand हूँ, मैं नमकीन का brand हूँ, मैं biscuit का brand हूँ. But if I have to ask you, how do you snack? You will snack differently from Monday to Sunday. You will snack differently from morning till night. So we thought, okay, how can we build a wide assortment so that we can become a better for you snacking partner for every Indian family? And we started with biscuits and cookies. Now your question will be, why biscuits and cookies? Because this is the most penetrated snacking format in India. हर घर में, हर office में एक biscuit हर दिन होता ही है. So we said, can we start by replacing the maida from biscuits? And then we kept on just listening to our customers. So we started with biscuits, we added our bhujia, we added chocolates, we added brownies, we added dry fruits in our portfolio. And then we recently also launched protein, because we realized that if you think about Indian meals today, even though they have some protein, but they're also very, very carb heavy. The guidance is that you need at least 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kg of body weight. So what does that mean? If you weigh 60 kgs, you need minimum 60 grams of protein when you're doing absolutely nothing. And if you are working out, if you are going for a walk, let's say doing yoga, then you need 90 grams of protein. And on an average, we did the research, Indians are eating 40 to 45 grams of protein. So there is definitely protein deficiency. And there is so much myth. I don't know why protein marketing has happened in such a way that as soon as I say protein, what comes to everyone's mind? Gym goers,
whey protein,
bodybuilders, those
bodybuilders,
intimidating tubs. Even I was so intimidated by those tubs of protein. But you need protein for hair, for skin, for immunity, for energy. And that's where we realized that, okay, let's also give people protein in the form of how they were eating their meals. So आप जब एक थाली होती है, इंडियन थाली, उसमें दही होता है विच इज़ मिल्क बेस्ड प्रोटीन, उसमें दाल और सब्जी होती है विच इज़ प्लांट बेस्ड प्रोटीन. सो वी क्रिएटेड वे प्लस विच इज़ जस्ट अ रेप्लिकेशन ऑफ वॉट यू आर ईटिंग in a very convenient form, so that you get 25 grams of protein which only has 100 calories or 110 calories. So the whole idea is that, can we solve for the biggest health crisis that India is facing, and of course do it in a manner that's absolutely tasty? For me, the trifecta in food, if you really want to build a brand in food, you have to do three things. You have to crack the taste, because food is a repeat business. People should come back, eat your product again and again and again. If it's not tasty, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. It's not going to work, right? So it has to be tasty. Second, you have to deliver on the promise of unjunking. When we say almond cookies, almond is the number one ingredient. It's not like other nutty cookies where 8% cashew hai ya 2%. It's the number one ingredient. And third is, we are trying to make it more and more affordable. Because the reality is that GDP per capita is 2,500 in India. And if we want to make this mission, and if we want to take this mission to a city like Bharatpur, where I grew up, we have to drive more and more affordability. So we are really driving towards this trifecta of taste, of unjunking, of affordability, and deliver it with Open Secret. And you were asking me about balancing taste and health. This is the easiest sentence to say, but the most difficult execution to make it
Yeah,
happen.
absolutely. Because I mean, I'm one of those, I've been experimenting with a lot of healthy food, trying to unjunk my own kitchen.
Yeah.
But in the process, I have tasted so many different brands which are probably healthy, but they just, you don't feel like going there and
yeah.
picking it up and eating.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've tasted some of the products, and I have to say that this is one of the closest that I've seen that comes to, the kind of food that you would
Yeah.
like to just go and randomly munch on.
Yeah.
But coming back to the protein issue, because obviously, like you said, especially for a vegetarian diet, I struggle with it myself. Getting that protein balance is very difficult. And now we are also seeing brands like Amul,
Yeah.
who are going big in a big way, getting into the protein market. That awareness is slowly building up. So how do you maintain that competition? How do you maintain that moat for yourself when this kind of competition is there in the
Yeah.
market from such big FMCG brands?
Yeah, I think firstly, I would say we are just obsessed with the consumers. And I feel it is not a category which is winner takes all. There are multiple brands which will coexist. And for me personally, I tell this to my team every single day that you really need to understand what your customer wants. And our customer is basically, people like you, a working professional who works really hard, who wants to enjoy a tasty snack, but also wants to take care of their bodies. And we really want to keep giving them products that they're asking for. So innovation is something which we feel we have to ensure that we are building a very strong moat around it. And how we do it, we have our in-house manufacturing, we have our in-house R&D, and we are a D2C brand. So imagine launching a product on day one and then talking to a customer every single day and keep iterating the product till you basically nail the taste and texture and everything. And this Kaizen process that you're able to run every single day, you can actually turn around 90 recipes in just 3 months. And we launch and we have kept on improving the product based on customers' feedback. And that is the reason we're able to launch at least 2 to 3 products a quarter.
Okay.
And when have you heard about this kind of innovation velocity from an incumbent brand?
Yeah.
Incumbents are really good in milking the cow, the cash cow, right? But they are not great at creating 0 to 1 journeys. And it's not that they don't understand it. Of course they do. But when you're running a 5,000 crore brand, why will you divert your resources, your best resources, your lot of capital to build something which is a 100 crore brand? This is classic innovator's dilemma, right? You will always focus on, can I grow 5,000 crore by 10%? Now that is huge. That's 500 crores, right? So that is the tension when you're working and operating in a big organization, and that's what gives startups like ours space to come and disrupt a category. I'll give you an example of Blinkit, and this is an external report where they had published market share of multiple brands. So first of all, in the top 10 brands, there was only one D2C brand which was against all the incumbent brands. That was Open Secret.
Okay.
And what was interesting was that in the premium space, Open Secret was the leading brand with 13% market share and Britannia was number 2.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? If you think about how the shelf is going to look like, the shelf is going to look like more premium, more towards better for you, then it gives an example that there is definitely a right to win for brands like Open Secret to stand against incumbents. Now, of course, this is just one category and one platform. What we really need to do is, can we replicate this success across multiple categories, across multiple platforms, to really build a big brand? And of course, food is a patience game. It's very difficult for people to change things in food, but once they trust you, then they trust you not only with that product, they are also trying multiple products from the brand. So our customers consume more than, at least 50% of consume by more than 2 categories from Open Secret. So we are in the business of trust, and we are hoping that with every product we can keep on compounding on that trust.
Right. So just another, point on the kind of competition there is, because now in the last few years there's been a huge surge of awareness that's been created, huge surge of brands that are trying to create healthy food, whether it's your bakeries or brands such as yourself. Within this space, how do you think that you will manage to outperform the competition?
Actually, that's a very interesting question and something that everyone keeps asking me, because who is a competitor? You know, the competitor is not the new age smaller brands, right? We are not stealing market share from brands doing 50 crore or 100 crores, right? We ourselves are between, like, well, let's say 150 crore and 200. The competition are the big incumbent brands.
The big
We all,
FMCG
because we are
brands. Yeah.
growing faster in the category, which means we are definitely stealing market share from somebody, and those are the big incumbent brands. And I feel all the content that the new age brands are creating, that's supporting the disruption, that's really helping consumer make better choices. It's better for the consumer, it's better for the category, and I think it's better for the health and wellness segment as well. And I'm very clear that we are not looking into small brands, we're looking into the incumbent brands and how can we replace that maida, that palm oil, with a better for you product. And as I said, see, in India, when I moved back from US to India, one thing which I was very clear is you have to pick the segment very strategically.
Right.
Because if you just build for the lower parels of the world, you will never build a big brand and you will never make a great impact. I was very clear that we wanted to make a product that doesn't resonate, not only that basically resonates not only just with the lower parel of the world, but also with a family in Bhopal, in Bharatpur, all those places. And that's why we decided to start unjunking with categories like bhujia, with biscuits, with dry fruits, because this is what is consumed on an everyday basis by a lot of families. We didn't start with a protein bar, which the penetration of the category is very very low. So we are very clear that we are not here to build a niche brand which resonates with only a certain premium section of the society. We are here to build a brand that can actually resonate with the tier 2 and tier 3 families of India as well.
Right.
And that's the laser focus whenever we're thinking about innovation as well.
Right. But now, obviously, like, we've been talking about more and more people getting aware, and you have certain points as to why FMCG companies may not jump onto this bandwagon so easily. But given the fact that this is such a big market and it's visible to everyone, what stops an FMCG company to say that, okay, we're going to launch something like this, and perhaps like Amul is trying it with protein, maybe others will jump on. Do you think that kind of disruption will completely change the landscape of this entire category?
I think maybe I'll double click on innovator's dilemma. First, what is a brand? A brand is a promise to a consumer that this is what I stand for. When Open Secret says, or when I say unjunking, these are basically 5 promises which we will never break. No maida,
Okay.
no palm oil, no artificial preservative, no trans fat, no artificial color. You can pick any product from whatever category we have launched. We will ensure that we will never break this promise. Now imagine an incumbent company. How can you stand for both junk and unjunk at the same
Fair
time?
enough. Yes.
And today's consumers, they're very, very sharp. They're very smart. We live in the world of social media where you can't fake it till you make it. It's not a 15-second commercial where you can get a movie star and then say, this brand stands for maida, this brand stands for no maida. And I think authenticity is how a new age brand is being built. And I think that's where the power lies with the authentic small brands. Of course, we lack resources, we lack capital, we don't have the kind of distribution in offline that big companies have. So there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of frustration also, and failures at times. But I do feel that because of this, smaller brands have a better right to win because we are authentic, we truly stand for something. And I live with unjunking principle every single day. That's number one. Number two, as I mentioned, it's really difficult for big companies to build brands from scratch, and that's why you will see a lot of M&A happening. Why are big companies paying so much money for acquisition? And this is not happening just in India. If you think about US, every big FMCG company has a VC arm.
Yes.
And there's so many acquisitions which have happened, and these are billion-dollar acquisitions. Kind Bar, Annie's got acquired by General Mills for $800 million. So this disruption which has happened in the US, I think the same inflection point is happening in India, where a lot of M&A will continue to happen because incumbents know what their strengths are and they know what the strengths of small D2C brands are. So they will actually drive synergies between.
Okay, so let's talk about some of your firsts. So, for example, what was the first product that Open Secret launched?
The first product, can I show it here?
Yes.
Is this purple, this box. So this was the first product, and I can tell you, I've tried 1,000 cookies before we launched it, and I made a promise to myself, I don't think I can eat any more of these, but I still eat it every single day. This is still one of my favorite products. We took this challenge that can we actually replace maida from a cookie and still make it absolutely delicious. And we added dry fruits because dry fruits is universally the healthiest ingredient that you could find. So you should definitely try it out, check it out. Still one of my favorite products.
Okay. The first sale that you ever made on the Open Secret website or in any manner?
When we launched, it was right before COVID.
Okay.
And I still remember it was an offline store where I was standing with a tray myself because I truly wanted to get that customer experience. And I actually saw that every single customer who tried the product bought the product. So that gave me a lot of confidence that if we can just make trial happen with Open Secret, the repeats are gonna taken care of.
Okay. Your first big win as an entrepreneur, it could be either major client, a viral moment. What can you tell us?
Oh, wow, that's an interesting question. The first big win. I'm someone who's so hard on myself that I never think anything is worthy enough to call a win. But it's interesting for me, like if I have to now reflect back and think about wins, I think these are the moments when a customer reaches out to you and they send you a message and they say, I love your bhujia. I'm such a big bhujia eater, but I stopped eating because it was full of palm oil. Or when someone said that they had a disease and they wanted to replace maida but they stopped eating cookies. So when you get really heartfelt messages from customers, I don't think there's any bigger win than that. Of course, there's so many awards. We have done 3 institutional rounds, but nothing beats
Direct
the
customer
customer
feedback.
appreciation. It just makes your day. It's still, I think anyone who drops a message on LinkedIn or comments something on LinkedIn, it really brings a big smile on my face.
Okay. Your first pitch to an investor, and how did that go?
Oh, wow. Too many pitches. I think, first of all, there are, of course, 100 pitches, there will be 80% rejection. But I have been very grateful to have partners who really believed in the mission from day one. The first funding round that we did, it was an idea just on paper. I didn't even have a finished product. But the investors really believed in the mission because I'm guessing, it was their pain point as well and they could see the macro trends in the country. So yeah, very grateful that they came on board from the day one, from the beginning of Open Secret.
Okay. What about your first snack obsession as a child? Anything that sort of you think back and
Bhujia. Like bhujia was, I'm from Rajasthan.
Yeah.
I guess everyone who's from Rajasthan will relate to this. We add bhujia to everything.
Yeah.
We add bhujia to poha. I add bhujia to dal chawal. I can't live a day without bhujia.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to unjunk it. This was definitely one of the most difficult products that we have launched.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, what's been the feedback to the bhujia itself?
Now it's amazing. People really love. This is one of our best sellers on quick commerce. And but in the first product that we launched was also a disaster. When I was talking about, we launched something and the customer gave us feedback and we ran a Kaizen process. So this is one product which took its time, but now we're very proud of the product that we've created.
Right. And do you see this at some point in the future actually able to compete with the Haldirams?
That's the hope. That's the dream.
Hope. Okay. All right. Just going back to your other point, the first time that a product you launched didn't work and had to be scrapped.
So we launched this product called Nutty Chips,
Okay.
and I think this goes back to the affordability point. We thought that we will add a peanut butter between chips, so it will be an amazing snack. But I realized that because of so many features that we had added to the product, it became super expensive that people were not eating it every single day. And it made me realize that you should not solve for yourself as a founder in a consumer business. You really need to understand the pulse of the customer, and not just a customer sitting in Lower Parel, but a customer, an average family, and build products for them. So even whenever we are launching new products coming out of Open Secret, I am just one customer giving feedback on the product, but we take a very diverse point of feedback, and we work damn hard to make the products more and more affordable.
Right.
And because Indian families, उनका budget होता है, वो उतने ही पैसे दे सकते हैं. So yeah, I think we can't pass the inefficiency of our procurement of our scale to the consumer. So we are very obsessed in making our products more and more affordable for Indian families.
So what is the price differential at the moment if you compare some of the popular Open Secret products to
Yeah.
the regular FMCG products?
So right now it varies from 25% to 200%. So we
Okay.
started with a premium of 200% where we replaced maida with dry fruits. But then we decided, okay, can we replace it with millets? Millet is a more
Yeah.
affordable ingredient. Then the premium percentage came down to about 25 to 30%. And now we are hoping that we can even bring it lower. The question is not whether we'll be able to do it. The question is when is the right time with that scale, with that distribution.
Yes.
So we will keep making our products more and more affordable as we scale, as we keep building Open Secret.
Okay. As an entrepreneur, what would you say has been your biggest learning in this entire journey of building Open Secret? I'm sure there are many,
There
but
are
if you had to
many.
pick one.
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship makes you a philosopher.
Okay.
I can write a book on learnings from this journey of entrepreneurship. I would say three things. The first is resilience. It's so tough. And when I say tough, it's really damn tough. And it's so easy to give up if the purpose, if the why behind doing something is not strong enough.
Yeah.
And especially, when you come from a pedigree, when you see all your friends living a very comfortable life, a normal person would just give up, that there is no point going through the pain. But when you have a very strong purpose, and for me, the light was always unjunking for the millions of families in India. Even in my lowest phase, that gave me the strength that I have to keep doing it. I need to learn to take the pain and keep executing.
Right.
So I think resilience is something which is like a muscle. When you go to the gym, you build muscle, you become stronger. I think resilience is similar to that. At different scale, there are different problems, and you just become a better person or become a better founder to deal with those problems. So that's number one. Number two, I've also realized that it's a single player game. And a lot of the times people might not agree with me, but it's really hard, and I don't think you can put the liability of your pressure on anyone. You have signed up for this life, but maybe the people around you have not. Investors also have a portfolio. Your team members also have other priorities. So it's truly a very lonely journey. So you have to accept the fact what you have signed up for. And you need to start learning to become a better version of you every single day. And when time gets tough, I don't believe in venting it out. I absolutely go into my own silo and I become the most disciplined version of me. Because just sitting and cribbing about problems will never help. Don't think why this has happened. Think about how can I solve it. And just say you are capable of solving whatever problem comes your way, and you need to learn that. And the third and the most important thing is the power of compounding. In health, in money, in life, Power of compounding is so powerful. Just increasing 1% every single day, you will be 37x better by the end of the year. And I keep asking myself, we were a 10 crore company, then we cross 100 crore, we cross 150 crore. Am I evolving? Am I growing? Am I the right CEO of the company? How am I growing myself? Because I need to grow faster in the company so that
Yeah.
I can take the company to the next level. So power of compounding is so important, and you have to have that growth and learning mindset. So yeah, these three things: resilience, power of compounding, and
It's a lonely journey.
and then yeah, and then aligning that
Yeah.
it's a solo player game.
Yeah. So, Anna, did you face any resistance at the time from your family, friends? Because obviously you had a Harvard MBA, you could have done anything and you had, the world at your doorstep. So, at that point, what was it like?
I think I had resistance from the beginning. जिस शहर से मैं आती हूँ, there are not a lot of dreams that are given to girls. I remember when I was preparing for IIT, even though my mom was a professor and she had professor friends, I still remember a remark from another female professor, and she said, आपका बेटा तो IIT में जा चुका है, your dream of sending your kid to IIT is completed. Why are you convincing your daughter to go to IIT? आप इसके लिए लड़का कहाँ से लाओगे? It was such an unsafe city. I never went out and played outside. I've grown up in a locked house. But my mom was such a superhero. She always told me education levels the playing field.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you come from, what your gender is. And that mantra has stayed with me. So whether it was IIT Bombay, whether it was Harvard Business School, that platform and that foundation really gave me the strength that it really depends on who you are, what you bring to the table, and gender is secondary. And I've just followed that mindset to every situation where the odds were against me. I still remember in the manufacturing plant, let's say at Procter, it was all male technicians. So when I was starting my own factory in Open Secret, and we manufacture majority of our products in house, I said I'll have women on the shop floor. That was one of the reasons why we had our own manufacturing unit, because when I visited a lot of contract manufacturers, there were no women. There were not even women washroom when I wanted to use a washroom. So these experiences have really shaped me and have made me who I am today. I do not pay a lot of attention to resistance. I would work 10x harder and just keep moving forward. But at the same time, I also realized that I'm a privileged person. I don't remember any other girl who had a chance to go to IIT Bombay and Harvard Business School from a city like Bharatpur. So within my circle of control and circle of influence, if I don't make a difference, who would? So whether it's talking about women empowerment, whether it's talking about health, I try and do my best. But my message to everyone who's facing resistance is don't focus on that. Focus on the solution. And when you are in the position of power, ensure you're creating a more equal world.
So, how do you deal with the times when, when you have self-doubt, or in the past perhaps when you wondered, is this the right way to go about it? I'm sure there have been moments of doubt.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
I don't think imposter syndrome is bad. I've accepted that there are days when I have self-doubt, but that's also a sign of growth.
Yeah.
When people ask you who's your superhero, I learned and I heard this amazing line that it's basically me 10 years down the line, and you never achieve that stage because it keeps
going ahead.
Yes. So that's the person I'm chasing. I know I'm not good enough, but I also know that there is no one who's going to be more hardworking than me, who will have more hunger than me. So I will give my 110%. I will ensure that my life is dedicated to the purpose I want to build, and I will become that person if I'm not that person today. So I'm very comfortable in my skin. I'm very comfortable with the fact that I might not be the most intelligent person in the room, the most articulate person in the room, but I know I'm very resilient and I will never stop till I reach where I want to reach. And of course, the goal keeps moving ahead, as you said.
Right. So, on that note, 5 to 10 years down the line, where do you see Open Secret?
I really wish that we can solve the biggest health crisis that India is facing right
Yeah.
now. We started with removing the junk, which is unjunking your packaged food. Then we took the second mission, which is how can we give more protein in your diets. The third mission that we're trying to solve for, and we are launching a new product called Sleep Tea, is
Okay.
how can you sleep better? Because what I have also personally experienced, that you can eat a great food, you can really go to the gym, but if you're not sleeping well,
Yeah.
you will not get the results. So the idea is, can we really build a brand which can solve for unjunking, which can solve for protein, which can solve for sleep, not just for the tier 1, but also for the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So more penetration, keep building more and more products against these three biggest health crises that India is facing, and ensuring that we build a profitable company. It took us a lot of effort to ensure that we become an EBITDA profitable company. Now we are EBITDA profitable, and I'm pretty confident that we can continue to build and scale Open Secret in a very profitable manner.
Okay. And I was also seeing that there is a personalized diet plan that is also there on the website. If you can take us through that as well, is that again another aspect that you're trying to bring in?
Yeah, so what I have realized, that health is so personal. Health is so subjective. We are not, even the name Open Secret, it talks about the customer.
Yeah.
You know what is best for you. We are here to bridge the supply gap. When you said you wanted a better for you biscuit, we gave you that. When you said you wanted more protein, we gave you that. Now you want to sleep better, we are coming up with Sleep Tea. So we believe that it's a supply constrained market where the consumer is well aware about what they need, and they are the best decision maker about their health. And it's such a personal journey that we really wanted to elevate that experience. Apart from the products, can we also help them with a diet plan? Can we also figure out what are the other problems? And that's the end goal. It's just a small experiment that we're running.
Okay.
But we truly want to ensure that every person can make the right decision for themselves. And we are here to give them multiple choices to pick from.
Okay. Okay. Let's get into a quick rapid fire round. Describe Open Secret in 3 words.
Purpose, unjunking, taste.
Okay. Your personal favorite Open Secret product.
Oh wow, it's very.
I know it's going to be difficult. But if you had to pick just one.
I think right now it will be the chocolate plant protein.
Okay.
I've realized that I'm someone who goes to the gym maybe 3 times a week, and that has significantly made a big difference. Not only when you talk about like fat loss, but also the hair, the skin, and everything. So yeah, chocolate plant protein.
Your favorite healthy brand other than Open Secret, obviously.
I like Epigamia.
Okay.
Especially, I think yogurt is something that I consume, and Epigamia is definitely a trusted yogurt brand for me.
Dream collab for Open Secret.
I guess if we can just maybe get all the mothers talk about Open Secret, I guess that will be the biggest approval for the brand. So not one celebrity, but the mothers, that would mean a lot, because they have been a guiding North Star when we think about innovation.
Okay. Which Indian street food would you love to healthify?
Kachori, I think. I was thinking about it, that when you think about so much of the snacks that we have done is more like Western snacks, and how can we bring more millet namkeen? How can we unjunk a lot of other Indian snacks? So that's something that we are working on right now.
Okay. The most harmful ingredient in junk food today that's commonly used?
Palm oil.
Palm oil.
Palm oil has 50% saturated fat. And if you think about the heart diseases which are going on, so much conversation. So that is definitely one ingredient that we have promised we will never use in our products.
Okay. One myth about eating healthy that you'd like to bust?
That it can't be tasty. When you eat your, like for example, ghar ka khana, dal chawal, it's healthy and it's tasty.
Yeah.
Healthy doesn't mean bad blend food. So we really hope with Open Secret you can really trust that healthy can be tasty at the same time.
Okay. And a new age entrepreneur that you look up to?
A lot of entrepreneurs, there's so many operators on our cap table, starting with Vijay Shekhar Sharma. He has been such an inspiration. Ghazal Alak from Mama Earth.
Yeah.
Really value her journey. She's also a very authentic founder. So many operators.
Okay, so in terms of the pipeline of new products, anything you can tell us as to what we can expect going forward?
As I was mentioning earlier, sleep is one
Yeah.
segment where we really want to create products which are natural. Because when I spoke to a lot of consumers, they realized that if they want to achieve the health goal or the health version of themselves, sleep is one of the biggest detractor. And they don't want to take pills, they don't want to take melatonin supplements.
Hmm.
What they really want, ingredients they can help them sleep better. So we are coming up with sleep tea, which has natural ingredients like chamomile, ashwagandha, which can also help create melatonin naturally in your body and can fight the stress. We all live a very stressful life, so it will be just one of the steps as you unwind your day. Hopefully, can sleep better, and then will be a better version of you are to eat right and, of course, supplemented with the workout as well. So, sleep is one health crisis that we really would like to attack with the right natural products.
Okay.
An open secret that has always been known to all, and how can we convert that into a product?
Okay. And in terms of the protein segment, any plans to expand on that?
Absolutely. So what we have now currently came up with is the plant protein. Then we
Yeah.
also launched a Whey Plus,
Hmm.
which is a unique combination of Whey plus plant. These are in chocolate flavors. India loves taste, so we would definitely want to bring a lot more flavors. We have also launched a travel pack because a lot of customers came to us and said, when we are traveling, we don't want to take this big
Yeah.
packs. So these travel packs, and now they're also available on quick commerce so that you can get it in 10 minutes.
Yeah. And also tell me, of course, majority of your sales probably happen through the website, but is there also a plan to, go into the brick and mortar shops and things like that as well?
100%.
Okay.
We truly believe that if you want to build a big brand in India, you have to have an omni-channel presence. Right now, 90% of our sales come from online channels, but at the same time, we are also now expanding our distribution in offline, and it's a necessity, it's a must.
Right. In terms of a lot of brand discoverability these days is happening through social media, through Instagram. What is your experience in that? Because I myself have discovered so many brands on Instagram. How does your strategy for discoverability, visibility work in this era of social media?
I think one big advantage of social media is you can actually tell your story. I think storytelling is so powerful. In the age of TV,
Yeah.
you only had 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was mostly a one line that you wanted to communicate to consumers. Now you can actually tell consumers why you exist, what you do, and how you do it.
Right.
So all three, why, what, how, can be communicated to the consumers, and there is a better chance to build trust. You're not selling, you're building an equation, you're building a relationship with consumers, and social media has just enabled that. And the second thing which I would add is the feedback loop. It's no longer a
Yeah.
one-way communication, right? That there's an ad which is coming, you are just watching it. Now
Yeah.
you can also talk to the consumer, engage with the consumer. So many of the products that we have launched is because people actually commented that, can you bring this to life? So really, really important to leverage social medias in today's world.
All right. And on that note, thank you so much for joining us. Absolute pleasure talking to you.
Same here, and thank you so much for having me. I hope you will try a lot more
Yes,
products from our
absolutely.
portfolio, and would love to get your feedback.
Yes, for sure.